Race Die Run is an arcade racer that sees the player being tasked with navigating a huge variety of courses that all possess their own unique challenges. These can range from simple moving blocks on the track to death-defying leaps across huge distances, and it's not going to be easy. You'll probably find yourself failing for quite some time as you get used to the controls, but once everything clicks, it soon becomes a highly rewarding experience. No one level is the same, with each constantly changing and offering up new and exciting ways in which to hinder your progress, and with over 60 levels available, there is plenty to get stuck into over the course of its duration, as well as several unlockables and extra modes that help increase the replay value of the game. If you're a fan of the likes of Wipeout, F-Zero, or even Fast RMX, Race Die Run will offer up a similar experience and satisfy fans of the genre as well as those looking for something new to try out. Future Grind shares many similarities with the likes of Trials HD, but instead of hopping on the back of a motocross bike, players will instead find themselves taking the helm of a futuristic machine that looks like something taken straight out of Tron. The action takes place from a sort of 2.5D perspective and tasks players with grinding each rail that corresponds with the coloured wheels of their machine. At first it will become quite frustrating, but once you've got the art of grinding down, you'll soon find yourself breezing through each track in style. With every level comes several objectives, the first being to simply make it to the finishing line, whilst the second and third will usually require a specific trick or feat to be performed during the run. These all contribute to a high score, which will, depending on your performance, allow you to unlock extra machines in which to take onto the track. Visually, Future Grind is stunning. It's all incredibly basic, but the vibrancy and playful nature of the experience helps elevate it into something truly unforgettable. 7 puts players into the shoes of a lady known as Sasha. Now, the narrative does not dominate the experience, with much of the events being left up to the interpretation of the player, but for what it lacks in dialogue, it more than makes up for in atmosphere and visual design. The simplistic, clear and colourful art style manages to capture and convey much of what is left unsaid. Gameplay-wise, 7 takes advantage of the Switch's touchscreen. At first it can sound entirely passable and nothing more than a glorified mobile game, but there is a surprising amount of depth to the combat that sees you targeting specific areas of each monster, which really helps keep each battle engaging. Throughout the course of the adventure, it is possible to upgrade Sasha's skills through collecting severed limbs from defeated enemies. It's a neat way in which to progress, and offers a way in which players can cater their abilities to their specific style of play. If this one passed you by, don't let the seemingly simple nature of it put you off, as it offers up a great adventure that everyone should give a go. Shikondo is a shoot 'em up with a twist. Whereas most games in the genre rely upon several power-ups, Shikondo instead presents players with a mechanic known as Soul Collect. It sees you collecting the souls of fallen enemies and unleashing devastating attacks once enough have been acquired. It's a risky move, but has the potential to completely wipe the screen of enemies and soon becomes a much needed crutch throughout the experience. Both veterans and newcomers alike will find something to love. It is highly accessible, with the controls and gameplay mechanics being simple in their execution, but deep enough to warrant the game a place amongst some of the best in the genre. But the real standout aspect has to be the visual style. It takes many cues from Korean mythology and presents it all in a very impressive way. To top all of this off, local multiplayer is included, which quite frankly makes this one of the easiest games to recommend. Slain shares much in common with the likes of Castlevania, both in terms of visuals as well as its theme. Players will find themselves taking up the role of a demon slayer and entering the world of the undead, as they are tasked with taking on the hordes of enemies that occupy the space. Now, the first aspect that will strike you is the sheer level of difficulty present within the game. It could turn some players off, but if you stick with it and get to grips with the several mechanics in play, it'll soon become far more enjoyable and as a result far more rewarding. Several weapons and abilities are at your disposal that truly come in handy during the several boss encounters that litter the experience. Now, these are the real star of the show and require players to take their time and carve out ways in which to overcome them. Visually, Slain looks incredible and harkens back to the 16-bit era of gaming, with its intricate sprites and well-detailed environments. For fans of challenging games, Castlevania or side-scrollers in general, there is enough on offer here that completely warrants a purchase. Bad North sees the player take up the role of a commander in charge of several units that must defend their island from enemies that are intent on taking it over. At first, its rather simple presentation will strike you. Each island is procedurally generated and takes on a sort of cel-shaded aesthetic that lends the experience a truly unique style. At the beginning of each encounter, the player starts out with several units, and as the enemy approaches by boat, it is your job to strategically place your available units in a way as to oppose the oncoming advancement of the enemy. It's a basic concept that ramps up immensely in the later levels due to a much larger amount of enemies coming in at the same time. As well as saving your units, several buildings are placed on each island that require protecting as well. They are each worth coins that are central to leveling up throughout the campaign. If this level of micromanagement intrigues you, Bad North offers up one of the finest entries in the genre and is a perfect choice for those looking for something simple but at the same time challenging. Valfaris shares much in common with the likes of Contra and introduces players to a side-scrolling shooter with a heavy metal twist. You'll find yourself taking up the fight as a character known as Fearon as you make your way across a generous amount of levels and encounter some truly grotesque enemies in your bid to bring an end to their occupation of the world. As you would expect with many games like this in the genre, a huge array of weapons are available to the player, may that be pistols, shotguns, rockets, and a whole number of crazy inventions that help bring some serious heat to each fight. Topping all of this off are the incredible boss encounters that require much more than simply spraying and hoping, with each bringing their own distinct level of difficulty and requiring an equal level of strategy in order to defeat them. If challenging, action-packed games are your thing, then Valfaris is the game for you. The story might not be for everyone, but the action, explosions, and all-out gore will definitely keep you coming back time and time again. Splasher is a rather unique platformer that is heavily dependent upon a simple mechanic. It sees you firing different coloured paint, with each colour providing a different means in which to navigate the environment. Red paint makes you stick, and yellow paint makes you bounce. Each level is designed in a way to facilitate extremely fast travel by placing the correct paint on surfaces in a promptly manner. At first it can be quite difficult to do so, but once you get to grips with the many intricacies of each level, you'll be sliding around in style in no time, as well as the simple objective of reaching each level's end. Throughout the environment, the player will find several NPCs that can be saved in order to increase their score, but the real meat and potatoes of the experience will see you trying to shave off as much time as possible from each run, and with online leaderboards included, a real sense of accomplishment is present for those looking to be the best of the best. Overall, Splasher is a highly replayable platformer that takes a simple concept and delivers something that deserves a place in every Switch owner's library. Gunman Clive HD is a collection of two side-scrolling run-and-gun platformers that were initially released on the 3DS. The player has the choice to choose from several characters that all possess their own unique attributes and skills that will aid you over the course of the adventure. For example, one can hover for short periods, while another is able to wield two weapons at the same time. Now there's an impressive amount of levels in which to make your way through. Each offers up several styles of play, ranging from standard platforming segments to 3D on-rail sections that manage to break up the action and keep the experience feeling fresh. But the standout aspect has to be the visuals. The hand-drawn aesthetic lends the game a truly unique style that looks incredible during play. The Gunman Clive collection offers up a serious amount of value, with both games delivering a ton of content. If you're even remotely fond of platformers or side-scrolling shooters, Gunman Clive is definitely something for you. The first thing that will strike you about Sultan Sanctuary is its impressive visual style. It will instantly leave a lasting impression upon many, but what really hits home is the incredible mashup of gameplay styles that mix together to ultimately create something unforgettable. Taking inspiration from the combat and progression systems from Dark Souls will make Sultan Sanctuary feel instantly familiar to many, but it manages to carve out its own identity, resulting in a rewarding experience for both veterans as well as new players alike. Gameplay is responsive and fluid, with combat being closely tied to the progression system that is presented as a skill tree. It offers many ways in which to develop your character and promotes a real sense of freedom, which soon becomes one of the standout aspects of the game. If you've yet to give this one a go, it is also available on various other systems, so there has never been a better time to jump in and give it a go for yourself.